Alright, welcome to class, everybody. Before we start today's lesson, do we have any new students here today? Oh, perfect. What's your name, sir?
Carlos.
Carlos, nice to meet you. I'm Brian. Just hang time right there. I'm going to release class. I'm going to ask you to step here to the side of the mat, but for now, just hang tight for a little bit, okay? Cool. Alright, guys, go ahead and please grab a partner, review your most recently learned techniques, make sure you ask questions, you give each other feedback, and you help each other out. Alright, guys, go ahead and break. Alright, Carlos, go ahead and step with me, please. How's it going, sir? Very nice to meet you. Again, my name is Brian. So go ahead and take a seat. So, Carlos, what brings you here to pursue Jiu-Jitsu?
I just seen the sign tonight.
Oh, you saw Grace Jiu-Jitsu sign and decided to come in? Beautiful. You have any previous martial arts experience?
No, I don't.
No? Oh, perfect. That's completely fine, Carlos. So what I want to go ahead and do is I want to show you a technique that exemplifies what Grace Jiu-Jitsu is all about. Then afterwards, we'll go ahead and rejoin the rest of the class for today's lesson, and we'll go from there. Sound good to you? So before we go any further, have you ever heard of GraceUniversity.com or the Trap and Roll Escape?
Yes.
You have?
Oh, I'm sorry, no, I haven't.
Oh, you have not? Okay. Oh, okay. That's better. Perfect, Carlos. So let me go ahead and paint the situation. Okay. Let's say we're out in the street altercation or just outside in the outside world. Odds are we're going to be going up against someone that's bigger, stronger, more athletic than us. And odds are again that person is going to probably end up taking us down and end up on top. So what I'm going to demonstrate for you is a Grace Jiu-Jitsu technique that'll show you how to get out of that situation. So if you would, can you please lay down over here with your head facing this way and your feet this way? Perfect, Carlos. Scoot back a little bit more, please. Thank you. Is it okay if I mount on top of you?
No problem.
Cool. Thank you. All right, Carlos. So this is called mount. All right. So the mount is simply whenever someone is directly on top of you with their legs right in between your whole body. Okay. So kind of talking about what we were saying earlier. Bigger, stronger, more athletic opponent might end up in this situation. Do you have any suggestions what you might do from this situation to get someone off from on top of you?
Maybe kick or punch.
Kick or punch is
eye gouge.
Eye gouge. Correct. Going back to what you said with punching. So notice real quick, Carlos, how whenever I'm on top of you or the aggressor's on top of you, you can't reach them, but they can reach you. So although punching might work, it's something that you won't be able to really have the most effectiveness from the bottom since you're not able to generate that distance, and they might also on top of that have a high pain tolerance. So let's say you get a good clean shot, but the pain tolerance is really high, you're not able to get them off you. Anything else while you're there? No. You did say groin shots earlier.
Maybe pushing.
Oh, pushing. Perfect. We'll come back to that later, actually. The great suggestion, very common. Going what you said earlier about a groin shot or even kicking, another typical situations. Bless you. What someone might do is also an eye poke or grab the hair, right? We call these dirty techniques. And again, although those things might work, especially even maybe a grunt shot, that elevates the fight to a whole brand new level. And again, you're not in a very advantageous position, so they might be able to go ahead and retaliate and inflict more damage on you. So going back to what we talked about, what you said with pushing. Without doing any kind of kicking or scratching or going for the grunt shots, just try to push me off you, Carlos. Okay?
Let's go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Carlos. Keep going. Let me even give you a counter. 5, 4, 3. Really try, Carlos. 2, 1. Pretty tough, huh?
Yeah.
Alright, so let's go ahead and switch roles, Carlos. This time I'm going to be here on the bottom and you'll land on top of me. And let me show you what we can do using Grace and Jiu-Jitsu to get a bigger, stronger, more athletic opponent from off you. Okay, Carlos? So what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and grab my lapel here, just like that. And I'm going to try to sit up. What I want you to do is do not let me sit up, Carlos, okay? So don't let me sit up, Carlos. Don't let me sit up, Carlos. Yeah, nice. So that was, I kind of cheated. We used Grace Jiu-Jitsu. So let me go ahead and lay back down here again. And this time I'll teach you how I did the trap and rolls. So before teaching the technique, Carlos, notice whenever you were on the bottom and you started pushing me off, or the aggressor off, I was able to, yes, exactly, use these arms to go ahead and stabilize me. So although I was on top, I was able to use these arms and then a combination of hooks and then my hip to go ahead and remain on top. So the real problem here lies with you having these arms able to base out. So by using Grace Jiu-Jitsu, I'm able to trap the arm, grab the elbow, tuck my elbows, and the real secret, Carlos, comes from me taking my foot over your foot. And as you can see, I've completely isolated your whole right side of your body. So now, I'm able to go ahead and plant my foot, bridge my hip, and then try not to fall, Carlos. Don't fall, Carlos. Don't fall. Pretty tough, huh? So would you like to go ahead and take a chance to take the yourself? Perfect. Perfect. Is it okay if I'm on top of you again?
No problem.
Nice, thank you, Carlos. All right, Carlos. So before I teach you the trap and roll escape, I want to quickly go ahead and give you a forecast of what type of variations this move has. So what we just taught was the standard variation, which is pretty much when I'm pushing down your shoulders here, or someone could be choking you from the top, right? In a future class, we'll also talk about what happens if someone's trying to punch you from here, or if they grab the back of your head and you're able to go ahead and keep you down so they can also go ahead and inflict damage with a punch from the top. But for now, we're just going to stick to the standard variation of the trapping roll, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and hold your shoulders down here, and what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and grab my arm. So, okay, perfect, Carlos. You see how you're using right now what's called a C-clamp grip? We use different types of grips in Jiu-Jitsu, and this is a C-clamp. So although this might work and it's a good grip, it still enables me to escape my arm in the lateral motion. So what I want you to do is I want you to use a thumbless grip, yes, or a monkey grip. So this enables you to really control my arm, and now I can't yank it out using or take it out using any type of lateral movement. However, I still have this backdoor escape. So in order to go ahead and counter that ability for me to take my arm out, yes, perfect, Carlos. I want you to grab the back of my tricep here, using the C-clamp this time, like we talked about earlier, almost like holding a glass of water. Make sure your elbows are nice and tucked inside. And remember, Carlos, the real magic comes whenever you trap my ankle. Perfect. So now notice how you've isolated my whole right side of my body, right? Like we talked about earlier. So going from there, I want you to take your foot, really plant it on the ground. And then using the force from your foot and your hip being bridged up the top, I want you to go ahead and push your foot down, bridge up, and roll me over towards that side. That's perfect, Carlos. Keep going, Carlos. Keep going. Nice. Let's go ahead and flip this way over. So notice what we just did, Carlos, is you were able to go ahead and flip me completely over using the trapping roll escape. And now you can go ahead and completely disengage altogether, or if you choose to, you can go ahead and mount on top of me. Yes, go ahead and take that knee over my knee, and then vice versa, your knee over this knee. Nice, beautiful, Carlos. And notice, now you're on top, you have the advantageous position. The bad guy doesn't have the distance to reach you, but you can reach them. So it's a pretty good idea to be on top, right? Let's go ahead and get off real quick, please. Perfect. Thank you, Carlos. All right, sir. So, kind of going over to the method that we just went over, and the method that you initially did by just trying to push me off. In terms of energy expenditure, what was the difference? Where did you go?
Definitely used more energy the way I was trying to push it off.
Right, yes, exactly. So it was more just harder for you to push me off without using technique. So Grandmaster Helio Gracie, which is the gentleman that pretty much helped start all of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, was only 140 pounds. So we have to definitely rely on this technique over strength, right? Because he was going against bigger, stronger, more athletic opponents on the street. So technique, timing was definitely more important and emphasized over strength, right? So again, going back to Mr. Grandmaster Helio Gracie developed in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, we're going to be out in a situation where 140-pound man is going up against someone that's bigger, stronger, more athletic, right? So this is the situation we have here. Someone's bigger, stronger, more athletic. They're typically going to be able to go ahead and overtake a smaller opponent, right? We're both going to get into a tussle. We're going to use the same amount of energy, and naturally, the smaller person is going to bottom out first, and the aggressor is going to be able to overtake us. But using Gracie Jiu-Jitsu to go ahead and use our techniques to conserve our energy, we're going to go against this bigger, stronger, more athletic opponent, and now we reverse the tables because we're able to save our energy while they use theirs, and now we're able to go ahead and overtake them. And we can go ahead and get in a situation where we can go ahead and disengage, or we can finish the fight using top of the joint lock or a chokehold. Right. So the question that everybody wants to know, Carlos, is how many techniques is necessary to go ahead and achieve this? And the answer is only 36. And although there's over 600 Gracie Jiu-Jitsu techniques offered, studies have found that these 36 techniques have been used more readily and more applicable and success actually in the street application than any of the other techniques. So using these 36 techniques, we were able to go ahead and develop what's called the Gracie Combative Program. All right. So stay here 1 second, Carlos. Let me get this card here. Sorry about that, Carlos. All right, Carlos, going back to what we just said, right? The Gracie Combatives program was born from these 36 techniques. So what we've done here at Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is we found a way to go ahead and take these 36 techniques and break them down to 23 one-hour-long sessions. All right, each class composes of one standing technique and one ground technique. All right, so in these 36 techniques we've broken down to 23 classes. The beauty is all these classes are independent from each other. So that means that you can do class 1 and then you can go straight to class 17 without having to have previously learned that class before. So they're independent. It's pretty beautiful. So going to this second sheet of paper, what you can see here is we have a calendar. All right. So every month, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, specifically our school, prints out a calendar that lets our students know what class is being taught on what day and during what time. So that way, if you need to go ahead and allocate your schedule to come to class, you can do so beforehand. You know exactly what class is going to be taught on what day. So we try to definitely work with you guys. So going back here to the card, Carlos. All right. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of check marks here. And let's say you go ahead and keep coming to class. You do each class at least one time. You have a pretty good understanding of the techniques, right? Let's say you keep coming to class and now you've done every class at least 2 times. When you've done each class at least 2 times, you qualify for what's called the reflex development class. So that means you go ahead and take these 36 techniques and now you're combining them and go ahead and put them together in as many possible combinations as possible. So it really helps you emphasize to make sure you learn technique. On top of that, Carlos, while we're tracking your progress for each class and checking them off, you can see there's 4 columns here, which say strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, strike 4. So every 20 classes, you actually earn enough check marks here to go ahead and get the strap on your belt. And this doesn't have to be completed in any order whatsoever. And this will have be done independently. Just 20 classes need to be done. All right. So let's say you keep coming to class. You've done each class at least 3 times now. You've been going to reflex development classes, and by that time you probably have all 4 straps on your belts. At that point in your Gracie Jiu-Jitsu journey, you actually qualify to take the Gracie Combatives test. All right, and if you pass the Gracie Combatives test, you get a Gracie Combatives belt. And what's more on top of that, you pass the Gracie Combatives test, you actually qualify to start attending our Master Cycle classes now. And that's where you learn your 600 plus techniques we talked about earlier. All right, so that's kind of where that lies in terms of the program, Carlos. A lot of other schools ask you to go ahead and sign on to a class. They might offer on the first day, right? They might even offer a 1-day free trial. What we do here at Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is we offer a 10-day free trial. And what that means, Carlos, is that you can come to as many classes available inside this calendar and do as many lessons as you possibly can within those 10 days. You want to make sure you really, really like this program or a good fit for you and vice versa. All right. Kind of on top of that, Carlos, if you do decide to go ahead and do our 10-day free trial, you also get a free uniform, or what's called a gi, all right? And if you, for whatever reason, decide to go ahead and not come with our program, it's just not a good fit for you, it can't happen, no problem whatsoever. Just go ahead and within those 10 days tell us, and also return the uniform we provided you, so that way we don't waste a brand new uniform, and no obligation for you to sign up. Go ahead and go your way. However, if you do decide to go ahead and sign up for those after your 10-day free trial, Carlos, that's where all the perks kick in. All right, and by that I mean you get access to GracieUniversity.com, what we talked about earlier. So that means that you now have access to all the video courses online, which go into further detail or different detail that we might go in class, right? And now you have access to review all these classes before class or even after class, even if you miss them. All right. On top of that, if you do any type of travel for business or pleasure, we have over 150 CTCs or certified training centers all across the world. So I recently actually did this. I traveled somewhere. I let the instructor know that I was going to be stopping by. And then here's the beauty of this, Carlos. Every class that we teach in all these 150 CTCs are all exactly the same. So you go to class over there, give them a heads up, learn the technique, the lesson, come back to our school, let us know that you went there, what class you did, and we'll check you off. And that way you keep progress of what you're doing. So there's literally no excuse not to train jiu-jitsu even when you're traveling. All right, Carlos. So again, if you like everything you kind of heard and you enjoyed today's class and lesson, go ahead and talk to our receptionist. We'll get you started with a 10-day free trial. We'll print you out your Combatives card so we can track your progress, and we'll also provide you with that free uniform. So Carlos, real quick before we go back to class here, I want you to notice how all the students out there are helping each other out. They're giving each other feedback and they're asking questions. And that's because we're training against an opponent that's out there, not in here. So we really encourage people to be very friendly to each other and cooperate. On top of that, they're asking questions to each other because we really encourage questions. You have any questions for me now, Carlos? No, perfect. So here's what's going to happen, Carlos. I'm going to go ahead and call time for the class so after they're reviewing their most recent techniques, and then I'm going to personally pair you up with one or more advanced students that knows the techniques very thoroughly. That way, if you have any questions whatsoever, they can help you out. I'll also be walking around, so I'll be here every step of the way if you have any further questions. You want to make sure you have a great first day and you really like it. So if you have any further questions or anything like that, no, perfect. All right, man, let's go out there. Let's learn some jiu-jitsu and have some fun. Time.